Hey everyone, so today's video is a comparison of the Honda Civic Type R casting between three different brands. So on the left we have Tomica, in the middle we have Hot Wheels, and on the right we have Majorette. So these are all Honda Civic Type Rs, the mainline versions of all three cars. So so let's just jump into the comparison and see what we get between these three different brands. Okay, so let's first look at the base of the three castings. So at the top we have the Tomica casting. So over here we can see that it's made in Vietnam. It's the Honda Civic Type R. Just to note, all of these three castings have plastic base, so no difference there. It's the number 58, and there's not okay, there's also the scale over here. So it's a 2017 casting, and the scale is 1/64 for the Tomica. So it's a that's great that we get 1/64 for the Tomica. And now let's move on to the Hot Wheels casting. So the Hot Wheels casting, it is the 2018 Honda Civic Type R, made in Malaysia casting, 2018 copyrighted date. There's no scale, but as we will see later, the Tomica and the Hot Wheels, they are basically the same size, and I would say basically that it's also 1/64 scale for the Hot Wheels. Now for the Majorette casting, is made in Thailand. The scale, however, as you know, for Majorette castings that are part of the street cars line or the premium cars line, it's basically bigger, right? So as you can see, the scale here is 1/58, and so as you can see later, out of these three castings, the Majorette car just looks huge compared to the other two brands. So that's definitely a consideration that you would have if you're building a collection of cars and you want them to look cohesive together in your diorama or in your collection. Okay, so now let's first look at the side profile for the three different castings. So again, Tomica, Hot Wheels, and Majorette on the right. So just looking at the side profile again, the first thing that you will notice is that the Majorette casting is just huge compared to the other two castings, right? So the Majorette one is just significantly bigger with bigger wheels, just because the scale is 1/58 instead of 1/64. And then we have the Hot Wheels and the Tomica basically the same size at 1/64 scale. So definitely looks a bit odd to have the Majorette casting along with the other cars. But so let's look at the side profile. The wheels are actually I think quite different amongst these three different brands. So first we look at Tomica wheels. Tomica wheels over here are okay. I think it's still quite a basic wheel, and it has the red lines, it looks fine. But overall, Tomica is not really known for very, very nice wheels anyway. So in this case it looks okay. The side of the casting looks perfectly serviceable. It looks good. There's a little bit of a black painted details on the windows, the grills, and it all looks pretty sharp. Looks pretty nice. So let's move on to the Hot Wheels casting. Now the Hot Wheels has the standard 5-spoke black wheels. So again, these are also generic wheels, right? That's part of the main line. Now for Hot Wheels, it has a side livery that looks pretty good. Hot Wheels is known for their side liveries. They are just more interesting, and so if that's your preference, if you want to have interesting side liveries, go for Hot Wheels, right? And then lastly we have the Majorette casting. The wheels over here just don't look very good, and besides the size, they are much bigger. They are just generic wheels, and just I think personally I don't think they look very good. So in terms of the side profile, I would definitely think that the Tomica or the Hot Wheels is better, and probably Hot Wheels takes the point here because of the side livery, which makes it just more interesting. And just another point to note is that Hot Wheels does not have suspension, whereas Tomica and Majorette will have suspension, right? So the Majorette casting has suspension. So if that's something that you care about, it has suspension. Tomica has suspension, and I would add that the suspension for Tomica feels much better than Majorette's. It just has a nice bounce, nice click to it for the suspension for Tomica, whereas for the Majorette casting, the suspension is a lot more mushy. It's just a mushy and a less defined suspension, whereas this is just much more clicky and much more tactile, much more bouncy in terms of the suspension. So I think Tomica is better for suspension. So for the side profile, I think the point goes to the Hot Wheels. And so now let's look at the front. So here we have the three castings looking at the front. Now the first thing that you'll notice is that Hot Wheels does not have inserted headlights. It has painted on headlights. So let's zoom into the Hot Wheels first. For Hot Wheels, there's not much details. Even the hood vents, it's really quite shallow. The headlights just painted on. Even the logo is not as clear as compared to the other two, right? So the other two castings have very clear Honda logos, as you can see. Now it does have the Type R wording at the side, but generally it's not super clear. And the vents at the bottom, it's just not painted on. So Hot Wheels definitely, when it does the side liveries, it's awesome, but then the front, there's just nothing. So in this category, looking at the front, I think Hot Wheels it definitely is not as good as compared to the other brands. So let's move on to Tomica. Tomica, as you can see over here, the inserted details look pretty decent. Inserted headlights, it has a very clear Honda logo, and the bottom, there's some paint in the vents as well, and there's a bit of red at the bottom bottom lip of the car. So I think definitely it's much better than Hot Wheels, but obviously the price is a little bit higher than the Hot Wheels mainline. But yeah, overall I think this one looks really good. So let's move on to the Majorette casting. I actually think that the Majorette inserted headlights look really good as compared to the inserted headlights of the Tomica. I personally prefer that of the Majorette, and the logos, the Honda logo for the Majorette looks really good as well. And as you can see, the grills, the bottom lights, the two round lights at the bottom is also nicely painted for Majorette. So definitely Majorette has a lot more detail as compared to Hot Wheels, and even more detail as compared to Tomica, which does not paint the bottom lights. So I think for the front, I would actually give the point to Majorette, just for this, just because it has more details, and the headlights I think look better as compared to the other two. So that's for the front. And lastly, let's look at the back of the three castings and see which one is the best. So firstly, the worst one is definitely Hot Wheels, right? There's like nothing at all. It's just pure metal. And yeah, this one is definitely out of the conversation. So let's remove this one. There's nothing to talk about. So I think for the Tomica versus Majorette, they both have quite a bit of detail. So both of them have the Civic wording, they have the Type R wording as well. Very clear logos for the Honda. The bottom grille is also nicely painted. The spoiler as well for the Tomica is actually a separate piece, and it's actually rubber, right? It's not metal. So that really gives it a nice texture break and looks more interesting as well. So whereas for the Majorette, it's a bit more simple. The the wing is part of the metal body, so nothing too special on this. Therefore, I think for the back, I'll give the point to Tomica because of the wing. But I think generally both of these brands do their details pretty well. Whereas Hot Wheels, again, there's nothing to really talk about for the back. One last thing to also mention is that the Majorette actually has an opening part. So as you can see, the Majorette has an opening part, which is the back, the boot. So that's really a pretty nice to have. It really enhances your play value. It opens very smoothly, so it's definitely something that is a pretty cool thing that you can get when you buy Majorette, is the opening part. And so I think that's really what I wanted to share for the comparison between these three castings. So overall, obviously the cheapest casting is the Hot Wheels. The Tomica as well as the Majorette, they are quite similar in price, just a little bit more expensive than the Hot Wheels mainline. I think overall the Tomica is actually the best casting out of these three, because it has the best suspension, it has the best details, it has a separate material for the wing, inserted headlights. Overall, I do think that it looks the best. If you are a die-hard Hot Wheels collector, then definitely Hot Wheels is the way to go with the interesting side livery. But it sacrifices the details, right? It doesn't have too much details, whether it's in the front or in the back. So that's if you want to buy Hot Wheels, that's that. And for Majorette, it's definitely a great casting with a lot of details, with suspension, with an opening part. But I think the main thing is that it's just much bigger as compared to the other two castings. As you can see over here, it's just much bigger, and so it looks a bit odd in your diorama or your collection. So overall, I think Tomica is the best one in this comparison. So yeah, that's the end of this video, and please let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.